I'm Riley.
And I'm Ronnie,
And this is the Plan to Eat podcast.
where we have conversations about meal planning, food, and wellness to help you answer the question, what's for dinner?
Do you have a favorite like dish or utensil that you use?
Like when I'm cooking.
Well, or like eating. Like I have like a favorite spoon and a favorite fork and a favorite coffee
All
cup.
of ours match.
Oh.
I have a favorite coffee cup. We have like 40 coffee cups, and I will wade through them to get to the one I want to drink out of.
Yeah. I have a lot of coffee cups because people know that I like coffee cups, and so they
Yeah.
give me coffee cups, which is great. But then it's like,
But yeah.
well, then the last favorite one gets replaced with the new favorite.
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
But I was thinking about that today when I was eating lunch, and I was like, do other people have favorite kitchen things?
When I did not live here and we had all matching, and I lived like with roommates and we had eclectic stuff, I really liked like a dig for the one I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only
Yeah.
weirdo.
I like the mouthfeel of certain spoons. Spoons in particular, may pay more. Like I'll be really annoyed if I get a bad spoon.
I
Like
had
a spoon that's too deep.
yeah.
I do not like that.
We had a spoon one time because we have eclectic spoons and forks.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And we had a spoon that was like, had like this really weird handle. It was like pinched on the sides. So it made it
Oh.
like thick up and down.
Uh-huh.
I didn't like it. I ended up throwing
Yeah.
it away.
That's funny. And I also am weird about the lid of the cup I'm drinking out of.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be the right lip.
Yeah.
Like if I went and got a coffee from a coffee shop and they gave me a paper cup with a lid, I'd prefer to drink it without the lid.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I like the mouth feel of like the border of the white paper cup.
Yeah. I also don't like the taste of the like heated up plastic.
Yeah.
Of a coffee cup, of a disposable coffee cup.
This is the kind of stuff we need to do at the end of every show.
Well, we're
These, like,
doing it at the
random
beginning of the show.
questions.
And on that note, welcome back to the Plan to Eat podcast.
Today we are talking about the life cycle of food in our house. So from planned, purchased, eaten, or wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to talk through the different stages of the food in our house, kind of where things tend to break down, where we tend to have more waste in some places versus others, and what we can do to, make it work a little bit better.
Yeah. I really hate throwing away food. But also sometimes it just gets to that point, right? We all have to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
I just really don't like to do it.
I agree. We've talked about this before. We talked about this in our food waste episode that we did a couple months ago now, where, wasted food is just like wasted money. It's like putting your dollar bills in the refrigerator and letting them sit there for a week, and then you just throw them in the trash afterwards.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. Just taking your cold dollar bills and throwing them away.
I mean, if you actually did that, you'd probably think about what you're doing a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a good life lesson. It's a good, like, a tactile lesson,
Yes.
Yeah, I was just talking to my sister-in-law on the phone the other day, and she said something about, like, oh, we really wanted to eat this, but, like, this is free food because I've already paid for it, and, like, we have food at home, and, like, that whole idea. And I was like, yes, exactly. Like, it's not free, but it is prepaid for.
Right.
Yeah. So food can end up in one of these many stages: bought and never planned, planned and never cooked, or cooked and never eaten.
Yep.
Cooked and never eaten feels painful because it's like you paid for it, then you did the effort, and then you threw it away. It is actually why I hate throwing away leftovers.
Well, it's like a double negative because it's like wasted money, but then it's also the wasted effort.
Yes. Yeah.
And in this case, the double negative doesn't make a positive.
No. Planned and never cooked is unfortunately where my food goes to die. It just, for whatever reason, I buy this head of lettuce and I'm going to do this thing with it. And then something pivots or changes, or I don't make a salad, or I don't use it for something, and it goes away.
Yeah.
Too fast. It also happens to me sometimes with food that I buy and it's like goes bad too quickly. And like I couldn't use it in time, which is also very frustrating, which doesn't really feel like a me problem. It's just like, oh, that food just went bad too fast.
Right. Yeah. I think that I often get stuck in the like, random purchases, but that were never
Oh,
planned
yeah.
for situation,
Mhm.
which is fine when it's something like pasta,
Yeah, totally.
something that's like a non-perishable. I do this a lot with non-perishables when there's like obviously if it's a buy one, get one free, you're going to grab
Mhm.
2 boxes of the thing, or if it's just on like a really good sale. But I tend to do the thing where I'm like, I don't know, in the dairy section and I'm like, ooh, ricotta. I'm going to buy some ricotta and maybe I'll make some lemon ricotta pancakes this weekend. And then the thing of ricotta just like sits in my refrigerator. And I'm like, what was I going to do with this? I don't, why is this here? And then it's moldy.
Yes. I hate that too.
Yeah.
The bought and never planned is really what Planted is out to mitigate overall,
Yes.
Bought and never planned is kind of like what you just said, right? Like you literally just said you bought it on a whim and then you never planned it. I had the same thing happen recently. I bought some buttermilk to make fried chicken. I bought some buttermilk to make fried chicken, but there was leftover buttermilk.
Oh, yeah.
And while I used the majority of it, I didn't use all of it. And I just kept thinking, I'm going to make buttermilk pancakes or I'm going to make buttermilk biscuits. Did I? No, because I never planned them.
Right.
Yes, it's very frustrating, but it does have to move from idea to action. Otherwise, it will just go bad, and then you are throwing that money away.
Yeah. So, Riley, tell me in general, where food kind of tends to get stuck in your house. Is it one of these categories more than the other?
Yeah, I think that okay, I have kids, and there is a struggle sometimes with like one week, and I know this is like a joke around the internet, but it is very real. Like a lot of jokes come out of reality, right? One week, my kids will eat 99 blueberries each every day. And I'm like, we can't even keep blueberries in this house. Okay. And then the next week, I'm like, okay, we ate a lot of blueberries. And then they eat no blueberries. And
Right.
then I'm like, and then my husband is like, okay, I'm going to pick out all the good ones and eat them because or whatever, like there have been days where I'm like, I'm going to eat a yogurt bowl for breakfast because I am going to eat these blueberries because I paid for them. So I would say overbuying is where I get stuck.
Mm.
Or it'll happen to me. Like I think I said this on last week's episode. I just have such a hard time cooking for the number of people I'm cooking for. I just kind of like go wild. Like, and we had hot wings and like carrots and celery and ranch the other day, and I cut like an entire head of celery and all these carrots, and we didn't finish them. Thankfully, that doesn't go bad very quickly. But like I'm just like, there's only 4 of us. Like,
Yeah.
who was I cooking this for? What army of people was coming to my house to eat here? I think I just tend to overbuy or like fruits and vegetables in particular, I tend to overbuy. And it's fruits and vegetables. Like I don't do this with dairy really. I mean, I just had the buttermilk example, but that's really rare. I don't do it with meat typically. Also, those are kinds of, well, meat you can freeze, but I feel like this is just where I get fruits and vegetables where I get stuck in overbuying.
Yeah, I would say that I have a similar problem, particularly with fruits and vegetables. And it's often because I go to the grocery store and I'm like, okay, last week I really wanted some bananas and I didn't have any
Yeah.
bananas. And so then I buy bananas, but then I'm also buying apples and I'm also buying strawberries because they're on sale and I'm also buying oranges or whatever. And then we ended up with like 7 different kinds of fruit in the house. And I feel like I have to eat a fruit salad every single day in order to eat it all.
Yes.
So that's definitely a problem for me too. But I would say I also, well, so we talked about meal prep a lot last time. And I think that is, so maybe kind of like the cooked but never eaten
Yeah.
is also an area where I struggle a little bit, particularly when it comes to stuff that we meal prep. So like, I guess kind of like your carrots and celery
Mhm.
example. But I think I talked about this last time. We've been smoking chicken for my husband's lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first couple times that I did it, I just took like a whole pack of turkey breasts and smoked all of them. And then we
Nice.
ate some, did I say turkey? I meant chicken.
Yeah.
And and then we ate some of the chicken for different meals other than his salads throughout the week. But then the last 2 weeks that I've done that, I've been like, okay, this is way too much chicken. And like by the end of the week, I like last week I had to like throw some of the chicken away because I was like, it's been 7 days since I cooked this.
Yeah.
I don't feel good about eating this anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm struggling to adjust there a little bit still and figure out like what's the right amount. for lunch, but also maybe an additional dinner so I don't have to cook one of those nights.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're still testing the waters. We've
Yeah.
only been doing this for like 4 weeks, so
Yeah, it is hard to know, and some of it is just variability of, like, hunger, or
yeah,
desire, or, "Oh, I ended up eating out accidentally," and this happened to us. I ended up picking up pizza on the way home because it was gonna be really late when we got home, but I'd already thought out the meat, and I was like, "Well, we have to cook that today," which pivots my entire meal plan,
yeah.
and so it's a struggle to, like, know what you're gonna end up doing, what your week's gonna look like. But
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I'd rather have I don't know, it's so hard to know if you'd rather have more or less, because like, then what do you
yeah.
do? Then you're forced into a hole of if you have less, you're forced into this hole of having to buy more, or
Right.
cook more.
Cook more, or then he's just gonna, like, go out for lunch or
Yeah,
something instead,
yeah,
which is way more expensive.
yeah,
But, yeah, I think that was kind of the problem that happened this last week in particular is that, yeah, we ended up going out to eat a couple different times. We had, like, some things happening, and so we went out to eat a couple different times, and so it was, like, those nights that we would have normally eaten the chicken,
mhm.
those didn't happen at home. So, yeah, but, like, sometimes things are spontaneous. You don't realize that it's gonna happen. Or actually, this is what happened the week before, was that one of our other meals had leftovers. And so then it was like we had a leftover night that was
Yeah,
that other meal and not the chicken. I don't know. It's complicated
it's
sometimes.
complicated sometimes, it really is. So, you asked me about food getting stuck. Let's talk about all the ways food can get stuck in your house. You could overbuy, you could forget what you have, which is a real problem.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you shop, your spouse cooks, or people eat at home and you're not there to know like, what was eaten. That's one of the worst things. Like every avocado gets eaten. Well, I guess we're not having avocado toast for breakfast because there's no more avocados.
Right.
So you could forget what you have, and or people eat it, right? People eat it without you knowing it.
Yeah.
And then over planning. This is one you and I talk about quite a bit. Over planning, because it's why we tell people to start small,
Yep.
because we want them to not overplan and then have food to waste. Or the last one, which is the fridge black hole. Ah, it really is bad. It's bad. It's bad at my house. I need to be better about purging things, or like, reorganizing and reevaluating what I have more often than I do.
Well, I think it's funny because I'm not necessarily like a fridge black hole person. Like our fridge is even right after I go to the grocery store, I look in the fridge and I'm like, our fridge looks like there's not a whole lot of food in here. Whereas like I go to some people's houses, maybe yours, maybe other people's, and
Mhm.
you open the fridge and you're like, there's a lot of food in here, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But it's so interesting still because even where I feel like I don't have like a super full fridge all the time, my eyes just like graze past certain
Mhm.
things. You know, like I took the garbage out yesterday and I like did a cursory glance in the fridge to be like, is there anything that needs to get thrown away? And like 5 minutes after I took the trash out, I was like, there's 3 things in here that like my brain did not register when I looked
That
in the
needed to,
refrigerator. Yeah,
they
that
needed to
needed to get
go.
thrown away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird that like I feel like that's how the black hole effect happens is like no matter the state of your refrigerator, like your brain just like shuts off certain things.
I think it does. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a ton of comments on my fridge black hole, like, just, like, to, like, make myself feel better since you called me out. But, like but I do like, we're an ingredient house, like, there's
Mhm.
just it's a lot of like, I like to have ingredients so that I can make things when we want them. Hummus, so there's tahini. How often do I use tahini? Every 7 months? Like, but we've got it. There's,
Yeah.
roasted red peppers, there's jalapenos, like, there's all these things that don't go bad, that last, or they do go bad, but they don't go bad very quickly, they last quite a while. And then, I think we just need a drink fridge, because that
Yeah.
also clogs it up, right? We have all these beverages that are cold in the fridge, and if they weren't there, it would not look quite so black hole-ish. But my husband's also a big sauce guy. So we've got like this whole,
Yeah.
one whole door is a sauce door.
Totally.
Very specific sauces for very specific things, because we
Yeah.
like to have specifics. So
Yeah. Yeah, I would say when it comes to a lot of those, like, these are the things that we have because they don't go bad very
yeah.
often, my husband will randomly find ways to use the majority of those things. If we have, like, pepperoncinis or
Mhm.
like anything vinegary, he just eats them. He'll eat them out of the jar, you know? So it's like if I think that I have pepperoncinis on hand, I probably don't because he just will like randomly eat them.
Mm.
The other night he just like found a random way to put some sun-dried tomatoes on a meal that I was like, "Where did you find those?" He was like, "Oh, they're in the fridge." Okay.
You're like, what? I just glazed over them.
Yeah.
So y'all
My
have like
eye.
almost the opposite problem of what the internet says, because it's like the husband goes to the fridge and they don't see anything. And he goes to the fridge and he sees it all, and you go to the fridge and you don't see it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a little of both. He sees all the he definitely sees the condiments because he is a sauce and condiment person. So
Yeah, we also have pepperoncini peppers. But like I'm thinking immediately, like, why do I have those? Because if I decide to make a roast, that is actually a meal I don't need to buy anything for. I've got
right.
a roast in the freezer, pepperoncini peppers, the packets of seasoning powders and things like that I use. Like I literally just put it in the crock pot.
Yeah.
Like, but to me, it's all sitting there because we're an ingredient house.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
If I meal plan to that, it's a $0 meal plan.
Right. Okay. Well, speaking of meal planning, let's move into the planning stage of how food even gets planned in our households before we ever even go to the grocery store. So when you do your meal planning, Riley, do you think about what you already have at home, or do you usually start from scratch?
It depends. I do about twice a month, I try to have a week where I spend as little as I possibly can on groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And in that meal planning week, I almost always, I have to start with what I already have, because I need, like the $0 meal I just mentioned, I need to know about that $0 meal and plan it so that I spend $0. So I usually start with what I have, but then there are also weeks where I'm like, nothing that I have really sounds that good. So let's just, what can we make? What does everybody else want? Let's make a meal plan that just is on things that sound good, or things that I saw that looked really good on Instagram or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Or when a friend texts me a recipe and I just add it to the meal plan because it looks good. I will still always take that meal plan and look and see what I already have and remove those items. But it does kind of vary. I would say like 2 weeks out of the month, it's more like whim driven. Like, oh, I really want to have this because it sounds good. And then 2 weeks a month, I start with what do I already have because I want to spend less.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I think I do a similar thing, but on like a week-to-week basis. So I think it's more like if I plan 4 dinners every week, it's probably like 2 of them are, ooh, this looks good, this sounds good, I'm going to plan it just because.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 are more driven around what we already have.
I like
So,
that.
yeah, so I am looking at what we already have. I'm always thinking about, because like meat is the most expensive thing at the grocery store. I'm always looking at what kind of meat do we have already at home that I can plan around.
Yes.
So even if it's the recipes that I'm like, these are fun, I'm going to plan them regardless. If it's like a recipe that calls for Italian sausage and we have, Italian venison sausage, like I'm going to use that instead of buying Italian sausage at home. So, or buying it at the store. So yeah, I'm always thinking about the meat portion of a recipe in particular so that I don't have to buy very much meat at the grocery store.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, I do the same thing. And I also try to do it with seasonings. I try to be pretty conscious of that. Like, because seasonings are another pretty expensive item at the grocery store. They can feel expensive. They can add up in a grocery bill, right? And I always triple check to make sure I have them, because I've not done that in the past. I've ended up with 37 of the same thing. So
yeah. So I feel like if planning is the stage where you feel like you have your breakdown of where your food gets stuck, you buy things without planning. I think an important thing to think about is to give your ingredients a job. And that's basically what you're doing when you're creating a meal plan. So when you're creating a meal plan, you have your grocery list, and the things that are on the grocery list specifically go to recipes. So that way you're not just buying that random ricotta and hoping that you use it in a recipe. Yeah. You're buying the ricotta because you have lasagna planned, or you have your lemon ricotta pancakes planned. So there's a purpose. That ingredient has a job when it goes into your refrigerator.
Yeah, I like that. This is not an uncommon tactic with budgeting tools, right?
Yep.
Every dollar has a job. Whose whole tagline is that? Is it YNAB?
I think it's YNAB.
Is it Dave Ramsey? Okay.
I think it's YNAB's, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Every dollar has a job. And so I like the idea of just saying, okay, Every ingredient has a job. This is a tricky one, right? Because, and we're going to talk more about this a little bit later in the episode, but buying random things because you hope to use them is not an ideal way to meal plan.
Yeah.
When you live with other people, sometimes you do have to buy those random things because you say, okay, well, what if they want this for lunch?
Yes.
Sometimes it's not just, maybe you have a very opinionated spouse and you're like, well, that doesn't sound good today for lunch. So I'm going to have this instead. Well, if you don't have those ingredients, you can't have that instead, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just some of it is just like within reason, right? Like every ingredient needs a job, or things that last longer. Like it's the shelf life is a bit longer. I'm thinking peanut butter. Like if you want a peanut butter sandwich, that's very basic, but like that's gonna last a long time. A lot of cheeses last longer than just a week. So
Right.
you've just got to make sure you're balancing everything has a job, but we probably have to purchase extras because we don't know what it's look like on Thursday. Well, we don't know if we're even going to be home. Well, if we're home, what are we going to eat? Like, got to balance it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Something that comes to mind for me is things like flour.
Yeah.
Like when I run out of flour, I put it on my meal plan, even though I don't necessarily have anything planned for the flour. But flour is it's a staples item, right? So we always have it so that if I want to make banana bread, I can make banana bread. Or if there is randomly a recipe that calls for a white sauce, I need the flour for it. So yeah, there are definitely exceptions where you're like, this doesn't have a super specific job in this week. However, I think going with there's an intentionality in the purchasing. It's not just like, this was what I did before I meal planned, right? Was like I would go to the grocery store and it was literally random. It was like, oh, asparagus in season, I'll buy asparagus.
Yeah.
Well, unless you have a plan for when you're going to eat the asparagus, either in a recipe or as a side dish, like your asparagus is going to go bad.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think this one has a lot of caveats to it. Like every ingredient has a job. But also if you are planning, I'm thinking about when I go to Costco, and sometimes I see things that we typically buy, but we may not need them that week. We typically buy them, but they're on sale. It's like, okay, well, it's going to have a job.
Yeah.
It's just in the queue.
Yeah.
But I'd rather save the money on it now. There's some like sparkling waters that we like, and they were like buy 3, get 3 free, which is an excessive amount of boxes of sparkling water.
Right.
And again, it's not going to go bad, so it's not the greatest example. But I'm like, I know I've got family coming in town soon, so I'm going to buy them now because I'm literally saving so much money on these waters.
Yeah.
Even though it looks crazy, and I've got this gigantic stack of sparkling water now, I'd rather pay less for it now than pay double for it later.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
And so some of it, I think that's another way that every ingredient might not have a job, but if you purchase, there's still intention behind what I did. It was just, and if something's on sale, I'm just thinking like there's a lot of caveats to this one, I think in particular. But,
definitely.
But not just winging every bit of it. Like going into the grocery store and being like, well, I'm really hungry and macaroni and cheese sounds good. Let's buy that. And mozzarella and sausage and strawberries. And then you're like, but then I didn't even eat this at home this week. Well, what did you do with all those things,
Yeah.
And they all just, all those things that are fresh go bad. So,
yeah, I think particularly if you are a default to takeout kind of a person, or like default to getting food delivered to your house, having a meal plan that you're going to stick to is important, and not just like buying things randomly because you're not going to figure out a way to use those things. You're just going to be like, I'll get on Uber Eats and get dinner.
Yeah. Then know thyself. Like,
yes.
Look inside and have some self-awareness.
Yes.
I have to be really careful about this. Like if I'm in the grocery store, they were like, wow, that treat looks so good. And then I'll buy it and then I will never eat it.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
Candy comes to my house and goes to die. Like nobody eats it. It is crazy. Like, yeah. And so I've had to start being like, you're literally not going to eat this. Like it looks good and it sounds good right now, but you're not going to eat it.
Yeah.
So just leave it here at the store.
I think related to this is also knowing what your possible backup plan is for ingredients.
Yeah.
So like you have a planned use for something, but say you have a recipe that has more leftovers and you guys end up eating leftovers and not end up eating that recipe. Your plans change and you end up going out to eat with friends and a recipe doesn't get made. whatever the random thing that could happen is, having a backup plan for what you're going to do with that, I think is
Mhm.
important. And sometimes it's just putting it in the freezer, which is a great
Yeah.
backup plan. But I mean, like, say you buy spinach and your original plan is to have like a spinach and strawberry salad, and you don't really get to it. And then maybe the spinach is getting a little weird or something. And it's like, okay, well, the backup plan is to like put it in something where it gets heated up. Right. So like
Mhm.
it's gets
Mhm.
added to like a pasta dish or something.
Mhm.
Maybe it gets put into a smoothie, in which case it could go in the freezer first and then go into smoothie, or it gets like blended into a soup, something like that. Like, I think this is and maybe this is like an advanced skill, not for
Maybe. Yeah.
somebody who is newer to cooking and planning, but just kind of like thinking in the process, right? It's like thinking like, well, what else could I use this for if for whatever reason it doesn't get used in this recipe, or we don't make this recipe, everybody decides they hate this recipe and we don't want to eat it this week.
It happens at my house. It actually just happened with spinach here. I did use it, but it was just more spinach than the recipe needed.
Yeah.
And I did add a little extra, but I didn't want to push it too far. I still have toddlers. You just gotta I can't push it too far.
Yeah.
And I ended up using the rest of it on a breakfast sandwich this morning.
Yeah. I feel like,
And
I don't know why spinach is the thing, but I feel like this is one of those items. Like, you buy a bag of spinach, a recipe calls for like 2 handfuls, and you're like, okay, there's 7 handfuls in this bag.
yeah, it does happen. It does happen in particular with spinach. I think you just can't buy a small amount of spinach. I'm thinking about a person who's
Right.
just a single person cooking for themselves. Like, you better have a plan every day for that spinach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's happened here. And I think scrambled eggs is a great way to use up spinach, just throwing that out there. It's very low taste,
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it is hard and you have to have a plan. And I don't like to throw things away. So I ended up using their leftover spinach for a breakfast sandwich today, and then I was done with it. And that's
Right.
always just feels good to throw away an empty container of something.
Well, I think just some general tips for planning, and we've said
Yeah.
these things so many times before, so we don't want to be a super broken record and go into these in detail. But, if the planning stage is your hard part, think about planning simpler. We've said
Mhm.
this all year so far. Plan fewer recipes in your meal plan, plan simple recipes, plan your family favorite recipes. Also, you can reuse your past meal plans. This is amazing. If you use Plan T, you can scroll back through all of your past meal plans. You can, copy and paste them onto the current dates, or you can create menus and then reuse them over and over again. And then it's also important to make sure that you're planning based off of your schedule and the energy that you have.
Yeah.
I think just looking at schedule, we've always talked about schedule, but I think combining those two can be really important because, you could have a day where you're like, cool, it's a busy day. And so we're just going to have like a quick recipe or whatever. But also, if that quick day is going to mean that you're totally depleted of energy, you
Yeah.
don't even want to make a 15-minute dinner, well, then do something different. Have leftovers, or, something else in the works, a crock pot meal or something in the works for that day instead.
Mm-hmm. It's been a little while since we've talked about like meal planning Tetris, but I do feel like I'm going back just a tiny bit to like the spinach and like how to use it up. And I do feel like it probably I want to go back to this like tips for planning too, because if you get really good at saying, okay, I've got spinach and it's going to need to go in 2 recipes with spinach. I need 2 recipes to have, I need this 1 box of spinach that goes into 2 recipes. When you get into that like Tetris meal planning, it can really save you a lot of time, and it allows you to plan a little simpler because you're purchasing less ingredients because 1 ingredient is going for more recipes. But if you have a really good week where you like, man, it went really well, nothing went to waste, everything got eaten, like that's a meal plan to reuse and focus on.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this worked. How can we replicate this in the future besides just using this exact same meal plan over again? And again, all these things are things you can do with inside of Plan to Eat, just saving menus, reusing them, duplicating them, and then looking at a calendar and saying, okay, this recipe calls for that and that recipe calls for this. Perfect. Check. Like, I don't need to buy double.
Mm-hmm.
We're not cooking for 8 people. We're cooking for 4 or 3. But you those kinds of things really come into play with meal planning. Just like looking at the big picture, planning simpler. Like, when you can see it, you can actually do that. When you can't see it and you're just like meal planning in your mind, like that's a Jenga tower waiting to fall. Right?
So many games we play when we meal plan. Tetris, Jenga.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let's move into the grocery shopping stage. Maybe it's the shopping part is where you have some breakdown, where you end up wasting food, wasting money. I think obviously the biggest breakdown here is like you're buying without a plan. We just talked a whole
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
about meal
Yep.
planning and
Yep.
why that's important. And again, in order to reduce your food waste and your cost at the grocery store, you want to make sure that everything you buy does have a purpose. So like that give everything a job kind of a thing. But one thing that we've kind of alluded to, but we haven't gone into detail with yet, is to make sure you shop at home before you go to the grocery store. So if one of your problems is like overbuying ingredients, part of that could be that you don't take inventory of what you already have before you go to the grocery store. And like Riley, you gave the example of your spices at home. Like spices are expensive. We don't need to be having 3 different kinds of the same spice at home because we're never going to use all of it. And they're like $5 for a small little thing,
Right.
or more. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, one, you have to have a great list to shop at home. You've got to have a
Yes.
succinct list that's got everything on it and the amounts you need to, because nothing is quite as frustrating as when you go to cook a meal. This almost happened to me this week. Thankfully, it didn't, but it almost happened. I went to go cook the rice, and I thought we had just enough rice left for one more meal. We ended up having rice for 2 meals. And so I went and like we basically squeaked it in there. We had enough rice to make fresh rice for 2 nights. But nothing is worse when you go and you look and you're like, oh wow, we don't have the main ingredient. Because I assumed that I had it. I am sure that other people have done this. I don't think I'm the only one. But I've made an executive decision. Oh yeah, I know for sure we have pepperoncini peppers. That is a very specific flavor, and if you leave it out of the recipe, it's going to be really sad without it. Okay.
Totally.
And then I go to make it and I don't have it because I made an assumption, because my brain cannot keep track of it all. And so taking your list, shopping at home is one of my favorite ways to save money, because you don't rebuy. Save yourself when you're actually shopping, because you have when you're actually cooking, because then you have what you need. It's just, it's really, really helpful. If I can impress anything upon people, shop at home before you go to the store. It's so helpful.
Totally. And actually like pick up things and make sure that they have the amount that you think they do. I think the thing that I often struggle with in this is like a sauce calls for heavy cream. And I look in the fridge and I'm like, we got heavy cream, no big deal. And then I go to make the recipe and I'm like, oh, I needed a whole cup. I only have like 2 tablespoons.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, it's worth the time that it takes to like double check these things.
Yeah, it's also helpful when you're going through to just glance at things you already buy and regularly buy. I don't know. Honey might not be in my meal plan this week, but we eat honey a lot. So like if I've got 1 tablespoon of honey left over, we're going to need to add that to the shopping list. So it's a great time to take off what you already have, add what you need, and add staples as you need them.
Yeah. Riley, do you feel like there's a difference between what comes home from the grocery store when you shop versus when your husband shops?
Well, there is for sure. And it's a little hard to pinpoint exactly what those things are. Sometimes it's just all the extras. Because I often I stick to my shopping list pretty well, like pretty closely. Like I mentioned earlier, Costco is a place where I can not accidentally, but like I'll end up with extra things because of sales or things like that. But yes, things are different. Brands are different. The quantities are different. Oh, I walked past this and it looked great, and we ended up with zebra cakes. That sounds really specific. It might be. So there is a difference when my husband and I shop, but he usually takes my list because I'm the meal planner. So it's not that far off. It's just the differences are in like what I would have purchased if I had been there versus what he buys. Like he might buy a salad that's on clearance and I probably wouldn't.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. My husband doesn't do the shopping very often, but he did our whole grocery shopping trip about 2 weeks ago, which is like the first time in a really long time that he's done like the full grocery trip. And yeah, he came home with, I think the difference is that he's just like, I need to get in and out. And so he's not even really paying attention to like prices or anything like that, right? Like he's like, I saw honey, I grabbed honey, I put it in the cart. Not necessarily like looking at I like look at the things, and like I have like background knowledge of like we should be buying honey that's local because of X, Y, and Z, So I'm like reading the labels and So it's just a different experience, but it's actually really funny because literally right after my husband went grocery shopping, and he didn't like way overspend at the grocery store or anything. It just was like I just noticed that things were a little different. But I then saw an article on moneywise.com that said in general men spend 5% more
Oh,
at the
wow.
grocery
Yeah.
store when they shop. So,
That doesn't surprise me at all
yeah.
because I'm going to bring up Costco again. If I take my husband to Costco with me, we automatically spend $50 more. And he's like, yes, I need these gloves. And also, this treat is on sale. And I had a sample and it was great. Why would we not also buy a rotisserie chicken that we don't need?
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that there's more
Yes.
spend.
Yes. But I thought that was really interesting. And it felt like it validated the experience that we had.
Is this when you text me and said that you had to walk him through the store?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So really funnily, Riley, like, I don't know, has it been like 2 months ago now, maybe
Yeah,
a month ago?
probably so, yeah.
Riley made an Instagram reel where she was like, "Are you even married if you don't Lewis and Clark your spouse their way through the grocery store, right?" And so she's like pretend navigating her husband through the store in the Instagram reel. And I actually had to do that for my husband. I sent him our grocery list and then he called me and he was like, "Okay, where are like literally we started in the produce and we went all the way through the entire store and he's like, "Where are the carrots? Where are the whatever?" And I'm like, "It's on the south wall in the yeah." And then he's like, we did need honey. And he's like, "Okay, well, where's the honey?" I was like, "Okay, well, it's on the same aisle as the bread," which seems a little weird, but it's like on the opposite side and it's next to the peanut butter. And he was like, "Wow, you're doing a really good job at this." And I'm like, "Well, I'm here every week."
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, the next place where you have to pay attention because things can get wasted or thrown away is with cooked food, leftovers, the storage, like all of this stage of meal planning. The cooked, the stored, the leftovers stage. So at your house, like do you move meals around quite a bit? Now, let me add, you and I have talked a lot about this and we plan less so that we can rearrange with flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when you move meals to another day?
Yeah, so I think the biggest reason that food gets moved to a different day is mostly because of like a freezer situation. Like I didn't thaw the thing that I was supposed like I didn't thaw the meat or something that I was supposed to, and so I need to switch out a different meal instead. But then I guess meals also get pushed around because of the weather. If it is really warm outside and I have like beef stroganoff planned, like that's just not what we're in the mood for. And my husband is more particular about the weather situation and what he's eating than I am. So like I would be like, "It's fine. I love beef stroganoff. I'm gonna eat the beef stroganoff." But he's like, "It's hot outside. My person is hot. I don't want to eat hot food." So I would say those are the two main reasons that I like push meals around. Every once in a while, I'll have a recipe that I put on the meal plan and I planned it, I shop for it. And then like as the week goes along, I'm just like, I have no desire for this recipe. Like it just doesn't really sound that good. And I will push that meal off until the end of the week. And sometimes I just won't even make it. I'll just, if there's anything that's perishable, I'll just like repurpose it into a different meal.
Yeah, I do the same thing. And we get a lot of pushback on people saying like, "I don't want a meal plan because I don't know what I'm going to want to eat."
Yeah.
Now, you and I both live quite a long way from the grocery store, so we don't have the same luxury of like not knowing, like we're not going to eat or we're going to drive 45 minutes to town to find something to eat. But I move meals around for similar reasons. Sometimes it's just because people are like, "It doesn't really sound very good tonight. Let's have that tomorrow and have this tonight." Sometimes mine's an energy level thing. I'm like, "Oh man, that takes too long. Let's move it." But that is the benefit to meal planning the way you and I meal plan, which is 4 or 5 dinners, can move things around, have leftovers one night and like a backup night, or we eat out. And so that is one really nice thing about it. I have certainly had weeks where I have moved meals around to the point where like now that's bad. And that is sometimes why I move meals around, because I say, if we don't eat this, it's going to be bad. So we're going to eat this tonight. It's got to get cooked. But it is helpful. It's a helpful way to meal plan when you've got some space because you can pivot and use up what's going to go bad or move things around by preference.
What do you feel like is the food that gets lost in your refrigerator the most?
Green onions as garnishes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Green
Yeah, why
onions
do we even
are
buy them anymore? I don't even know why.
I
I almost always remove the garnish related toppings unless it's something that's very pivotal, like a fruit or a sauce or something that's
mm,
like a sesame seed or a green onion garnish. I almost always just remove those because we don't usually do that.
yeah, I pretty much stopped buying green onions as well because I feel like it doesn't matter what I do. I put them in the water, I put them on the counter. I put them in the water, I put them in the fridge. I don't know what the thing is that's supposed to be able to make them stay good, but unless it's like the green onions are planned for the recipe either the same day I get home from the grocery store or the next day, like they're like limp and gross or they've somehow dried up even though they're in water and then they're like crispy. I
Yeah.
don't understand green onions at all. I've stopped buying them.
I have a lot of success with them on the counter, but I don't use them enough to want to leave them on the counter. I have a basil plant on my counter and I'm utilize that. Like
Yeah.
I can live with this on my counter, but green onions just go to die.
Yeah, even when I put them on my counter, they just I don't know. Maybe they're in too much sun, not enough sun. I don't know.
Yes.
They feel temperamental.
Yeah. Cilantro is another one that
Yes.
I'll utilize it for a single recipe, but it doesn't usually make it to another recipe.
Right.
And like it goes bad really fast.
It does.
Very delicate little herb.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the gist here is that herbs often get left in the fridges.
Milk is another one that I think oscillates in my house, like
Mhm.
kind of like the fruit I was talking about earlier. Sometimes we drink so much milk, and I'm like, dude, we're drinking so much milk. I've got to buy more milk, and then I buy more milk, and then it does. I don't know. I'm not really sure what this like reasoning is for these kinds of things, but what I see get used up a lot in my house would be cheese. We pretty much always eat cheese that we have. It doesn't usually go bad.
Right. Along the lines of this cooked food, what are we going to do with it? When it comes to leftovers, I feel like leftovers need a plan just like a regular meal does.
They do.
Like
They do. Yeah.
we've talked about before, I often plan a leftover night in our week so that we make sure that there are any leftovers that need to get eaten up. Although, like I said earlier, sometimes we have too many leftovers and one leftover night is not good enough.
I agree. I often will call this my leftover night like a fridge clean out because I don't want to lock everyone into leftovers. Like you're allowed to make a fresh meal. Like it just needs to be what we've got here in the fridge and it needs to be eaten. Okay. We've got lunch meat that needs to be eaten. We've got these random pieces of pizza that needs to be eaten. We've got the actual leftover dinner that needs to be eaten or whatever it looks like, whatever those things are. I'm okay with somebody even making something fresh. Like we got 15 blueberries that are going to die. Somebody's got to eat those in a yogurt bowl. Like to me, that's a fresh meal.
Right.
It just is utilizing a thing that's about to go bad. So I kind of call our leftover night like a fridge clean out. Like you're allowed to have some choices here. Yeah. And I often will eat leftovers for lunches and just plan them that way. And so that helps too. I really hate throwing away leftovers, but I will if it gets past like 3 days.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I just think it's always best to know what you're going to do early when it comes to leftovers, whether it's like meal prep things, the individual meal prep items, or like a prepped meal, a cooked meal.
Mhm.
Because if you don't decide early, it's definitely going to go to waste at the end of the week, right? Like if you made something on Monday and you haven't figured out how you're going to use it by Friday,
Mhm.
it's probably time to toss it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless it's like carrots and celery or something and they're still fine.
Yeah. There's some meals that I make with the intention of like, we love this so much, we want to have the leftovers. And so I will make them and then have that be immediately the next night's meal or lunches for the next couple of days. But
Yeah.
we definitely want to have a closed loop with our food, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be planned, cooked, and eaten. And then either you repurpose that leftover or you repurpose it, you eat it, or you freeze it.
Yeah.
But we definitely want to make sure that we're closing the loop. It's going to help us waste less food.
Yeah. That's kind of the whole point of today's podcast is like helping pinpoint some of these areas.
Yeah.
And, if nothing else to get you thinking about like where in your house do you potentially have some of these breakdowns and how you could just like improve the system a little bit. Obviously, like it's never going to be perfect. Riley and I have talked a lot already about how we fail at these things. We fail in each stage.
Yeah.
But like drawing attention to it and working on it, yeah, like you're just gonna see a big difference in the amount of food that you're wasting.
Mhm. Yep.
All right, well, before we wrap up today, we have a wonderful listener who emailed us, Melissa. Melissa says, "It's just my husband and myself at home now, and I find myself planning dinners but not really lunches. This is a new mindset for me, wondering how to think about lunches that used to just be sandwiches with kids but now are different into the meal plan. How many lunches per week, etc. I find I am so good at meal planning, but I don't really have extras around anymore."
It's a perfect way to end this podcast, right?
It is.
Because she doesn't have extras around anymore, which is amazing. Like she's not
Yes.
wasting food, but now she needs more food.
Yeah. Yeah. It is an interesting dilemma to be in, to like, you've not really planned ideas for lunches, because lunches were just always like,
Mhm.
they were like systematized, right? Like we just had sandwiches. Kids took sandwiches to school with them for lunches, the end. And then,
Mhm.
you know, I'm guessing she's become an empty nester. And now she's like, what do we do? We don't want to, maybe we don't want to eat sandwiches anymore. Now what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah. I think she sounds like the perfect person to meal prep something. I'm
Hmm.
thinking like, because she's not planning lunches, she's not planning lunches, so she doesn't have any extra food. So including a recipe specifically for lunch works really well in this situation, because then she's actually purchasing what she needs, and she eats that for 4 or 5 days, something along those lines, something that holds up really well. I'm thinking, I'm thinking about that amazing blueberry avocado quinoa salad that you and I love so much. That
Hmm.
holds up so well in the fridge, pairs really well with a protein or not. And that'd be something really helpful, I think, just to like say, okay, this is what I'm going to have for lunch every day this week.
Yeah.
Something that you like, kind of like your husband. Like you've got all this grilled chicken and you've got salad ingredients, so he's going to have a chicken salad every day for lunch. It's not a ton of extra, but allows you to know what you're going to have, and then you have those ingredients on hand.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that you and I talk about all the time is making sure that we do have leftovers so that we have
Yeah,
lunches. I would say
yeah,
that's in general what I rely on the most,
yeah.
is to have leftovers, even if it's not like a full meal. Like, I'm not saying like we have a casserole and so I eat casserole for lunch the next day. It's like maybe we have grilled chicken and we have some pasta that was made and we
Hmm.
have, part of a salad that we didn't finish the night
Hmm.
before. And so it's like lunches is like leftovers, but sometimes it's a bit of a smorgasbord
Yeah.
leftover.
Hmm.
So I actually had it today and it was like, I was like, this is so good. We made couscous last night, and I forget about couscous until
Yeah.
it's in a recipe. And
It's
then I'm
so
like,
good.
I freaking love couscous.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, had it with like a little like Mediterranean vegetable salad kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
had it with chicken. And I was like, this was the perfect lunch.
That sounds great. Another thing that I thought of while reading this note is just rethinking sandwiches. It's familiar because she mentioned it, right? Like this is what she's
Hmm.
used to. But something like a panini, a flatbread, an open face sandwich, like just like upgrade a sandwich.
Yeah.
Summer's a great time to start doing that because there's just like beautiful produce that you can put on there. I mean, I don't know. It sounded fun to me. Just like upgrade your sandwiches. Now it's just you and maybe your spouse, and you're making fancy sandwiches for lunch. Another idea would be a charcuterie ingredients, kind
Oh,
of like your
yeah.
smorgasbord idea. But just like you have all these ingredients, they don't go bad too fast, but then you can mix and match like what sounds good that day, but it's a little more of like a snacky lunch. We call it an
Yeah.
adult lunchable at our house.
I like that a lot. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, Melissa, I don't know if, it's just you and your husband and you both are now retired as well. Like, if you got time, there's nothing wrong with planning a recipe that
Yeah,
you're going to make at lunch. I
for
understand if you
sure.
don't want to cook,
Hmm.
like if you're cooking for dinner and you don't want to cook at lunch, but there's also nothing wrong with like, we plan our favorite pasta recipe at lunch because we've got time and we're feeling fancy.
Exactly. Yeah,
All right. I think that wraps us up for this week, right, Riley?
I think so.
Okay. As always, we appreciate you listening to the Plant podcast. You can give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Audible, and we appreciate all of those. We love to read your reviews of the podcast, and we will talk to you again in 2 weeks.